Well, hello, everybody. You ready for the last talk? All righty. Who yelled maybe? Okay, perfect. So here we go. Let's get started. We're going to build an app in AI with Expo. I figured we could just kind of have a little bit of fun today because there's been a lot of amazing information. I saw people like to add a lot of really cool charts that make their talks way smarter. This one, we have one chart, and this is it. So I hope that you appreciate that. What I need you to do is I need you to be okay with the fact that I know that AI feels like it's the PhD thing, right? It feels like that moment that we have where we're like, I really want to be interested in this, but it's hard to tag along. This is going to be in story form. And what I need you all to turn on your nerd brains for me. Can you do that for me? Yes, excellent. In the perfect introvert fashion, 2 people clapped. Can you do that for me? That's what I need. So who is this guy up here? My name is Gant Laborde. I have a bunch of weird titles from a bunch of weird companies behind me, but most importantly, I'm the CIO of a wonderful company called Infinite Red, where we've been in mobile app development since long, long ago, and then we moved directly into using React Native as soon as it was available. And I love going around the world speaking about it and talking about the fantastic team. Some of you might know who I am already. Some of you might just know us from our booth in the back, waiting for a dragon to appear, because right after my talk, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take care of giving away that dragon. But I just want to know, a lot of you, how many of you know about Infinite Red? Raise your hand. Nice. How many of you used Ignite? Know about Reactotron? Raise your hand if you like raising hands. Good. If you're a rebel, keep your hand down. Well, that worked too. Excellent. I love it. So we have lots of great stickers back there. You know that we're in the open source space. We're always trying to figure out ways to make React Native more powerful. And throughout that entire time, we've gotten closer and closer to Expo and cool technologies and AI. And this kind of brings them all together. And like I said, this is going to be in story form because we're going to go through a little journey together. And my goal is that all the nerds in the room are very happy at the end of this. So let's get started. What we're going to start off here is with a very realistic phone call. Hold on. What's that, client? You would like to scan a document? Oh, yeah, I think we can do that. Let me go ahead and check. So scanning a document is easy. Everybody remembers this. You're filling in your checks. You're getting all your stuff set up. You say, I want to do the front of the check. It's for $5,000 US. And then you enter in the back. And then, of course, because you don't pay attention, when it comes up and asks you how much that's for, you say 500, because this is a great video for that. And then, so what you're doing here is that you scanned it and you contributed that, and that's what the client wants. The client wants us to go ahead and add the ability to just simply scan a document. Let's say it's for insurance purposes or membership purposes. So phones scan documents. We like to do this often. So let's take a look at how difficult is this problem. So I just took my Barnes & Noble card out and took a picture of it from the side. Take that picture and put it into the online OCR for object character recognition so it can read the card. And then look what it gives me. No text detected. No recognizable text. Okay, well, this might be a little bit harder than I thought. So I tell you what we could do. I know that it's taken at an angle, right? So we want to kind of fix that perspective problem there. And I know that when I'm in Photoshop, one thing I can do is that I can just kind of pull the corners to a different side and say, like, this is the shape that I really want you to be. So can you do that? So you just go ahead and take Photoshop, drag it up to the side, and then you can sort of use the warp feature to pull each of those corners into a different space to make it like I took that picture for that card directly on. And then if I do this with a lot of really bad Photoshop, as you've noticed, and I get the result there, I can go from this to this. Now, once I've got this, I take that same exact image that I now have, which was the same photo I took, and then I enter that into the online OCR, and then, look, ta-da! Now it can read it. Okay, I think we can tell the client, no problem. Easy peasy. Every time somebody takes a picture of their card, send it to somebody on Fiverr, and then just have them open Photoshop, drag the corners appropriately, And then there we go. Then we can go ahead and scan the card and make sure the information's good. Sounds good, right? Good enough for government work. But we're not going to do that because it ends up not being as useful as it seems. So we have a difficulty here. Like I said, this is going to be a nerd journey. Come along with me. So we know it can be done. So hold on a second. Client, don't worry about it. We can figure this out. So how do I code something like this automatically without Photoshop, right? There's a lot of stuff coming, and don't be afraid. We're going to go deeper and deeper into the difficulties of what this problem is. Questions like, how do you warp stuff? What tools do you have to do this? And why is linear algebra here? Is this an intervention? So the answer is, to the chagrin of most people in the States, mathematics. Now, my nerds are still with me, right? We're okay with a little bit of math? That's right. So let's go into it a little bit deeper, because coding with math makes you feel amazing, but you really just kind of look kind of cool, right? So you've got to figure out how to handle this. And we choose this moment where, how do we go further? We must learn a little bit more about the force, because we just can't jump in and do it right away. So there's this whole concept of the shrinking sides. And look, I could easily move on the presentation, but we're invested in this card, right? We're invested in figuring out how to do this problem. And we notice that side A is bigger than side B. And that's not how it actually is. That's because there's two different ways to look at this. There's orthographic and perspective projection. Orthographic means true, written, the way it actually is. Perspective distorts depending on how close it is. It's why my thumb can be bigger than anybody in the audience. So this is the real world. You'll get different sizes. So we need to actually move things, those pixels, based on perspectives. And the way we do this in math is with linear transformations. Okay, we can do this. This is how all graphics move. It's actually really cool. We could do all these cool features, and then we've got different VR headsets going on in the back. Everything's based on this new sort of style. We need to have perspective. We need to feel space. As humans, we think in spatial models. So now I have to find it in React Native. So there was a CSS property that was fine to go ahead and get there, but look, we can do all those linear transforms in React Native as well. So setting up transforms, we're set. I don't think there's a problem now. It's just like a little bit of math between here and there. So now we just need to do that part of it, right? Using a 4x4 matrix, we can take any image, and if we know what the matrix is, just tell it, apply that to the transform property in React Native, and go ahead and pass it along as a 4x4 matrix. So at this moment, I need to take a little sideline here and go like, why are we doing 3D space in a 4x4 matrix? Like, what's going on here? Like, why is this a 4x4 matrix? And again, this is super nerd bait here. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I know I've switched memes here. You were like, Star Wars, let's do matrix. Pick a lane. No, okay? I'm not going to do it. So we ask a smart person what we need to do to apply this transform. And then they say, like, look, the reason why it is a 4D matrix is really simple. The smart person says, in 3D space, we can rotate, we can scale, we can shear, right? We can change the different sets of roll, pitch, and yaw. But the problem is we always have this set there. If you want to know how to take 3D transforms, it should be a 3D matrix. Well, what about moving it in space? All right. Well, how do you translate this? How would you take it from one space and move it over to another? And the answer for the linear transformation that we can apply in that 4x4 matrix and the thing that we found in React Native is you can't. So the answer is actually that's why it is a 4x4 matrix, because 3x3 matrices can't move things. And look, we're going to go deep into it for a second here, because this is super fun stuff, right? So computers are doing this all the time. How are they doing this? It's all just a math hack. The whole trick is a math hack. That's why there's 4 dimensions, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you this amazing example of if we wanted to move something and translate it from 2D space, we need to go ahead and move through 3D space. this is amazing, right? So we're kicking butt. The client's got to be very happy with all the math we've done, right? This is going to be amazing. So I have this thing in 2D space, and I pick it up, and I want to move it over, but you can't do that. So what if I move it in a 3D space? Well, guess what I can do? I can raise it up in 3D space, shear in 3D space, and then project it back down. So I can actually translate in 2D space using a 3D matrix, and that would be how I can move it. So that's why it's a damn 4x4 matrix in the whole first place, is that if you want to go ahead and move something and translate it around 3D space, it has to go to a fourth dimension. And I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome now. I'm ready. Let's go ahead and let's code this up, right? Okay, no problem. We're set. So we know that if we take an image, we apply the transform to it, we'll get there. So we asked the smart person, how do we figure out what that matrix is? And I'm not going to bore you with that right now. But the truth of the matter is, it does get hairy quickly when you're trying to figure out what that is. And then as developers, we have a clock sitting on us, right? We have to deliver amazing features in a small amount of time. And so when we're sit here and you have to do the Penrose inverse of a matrix, at some point you have to come to a moment of reality, right? Because inevitably what happens? We start to get this call. So the client says, hey, how's everything going? I know that you've got things going just fine. You said that you could take a picture of a document, and you should be able to do that in your Expo React Native app. Yeah, no problem. We've got this. And so we tell the client, don't worry about it. It's fine. And here's the thing that I want to say. Like, I love nerding out with people. I love that whole aspect of it. But what happens next? What happens when you tell a client, no problem, it's fine? Well, then the feature creep starts. And you start to see a few things like, great, because we have a new thing. We need to automatically detect the rectangles. We want you to go ahead and remove shadows if you happen to have some of those. And I'd love it if we could just press a button and turn it into grayscale. Just add that. It's just a button. It's just a button, right? And then lastly, I've heard about magic touch erasers. Can you just add one of those to the app as well? And so we've gone through this. It's fine, it's fine. We love math. We are all nerds at heart. But essentially, we have this come to moment, right? We have to find something different. There's a new hope somewhere out there that we have to look at. And it's something I like to talk about very often. Because the truth is, the math is a lot of fun, and adding these to the apps is a lot of fun. But there's really cool features that are being built that are easy to consume and add to your application to keep you on your deadlines so that you can go watch the cool new Dune 2 movie in theaters, right? So I want to introduce you to a whole array of, I've talked to people a lot about on-device machine learning, okay? We are all set up with these amazing servers that stream information and bring it down, and then you can tie in with all the different APIs. You can create your own little concierge for your app. You can have a lot of fun. But what is the piece that you're missing is that when you move the machine learning model onto the phone, you don't have to worry about it as much anymore. It's running directly there. You can have it in offline mode. You can have it capable of actually taking care of millions and millions of operations. What it does is it costs the battery, not your servers. And so Google ML Kit has been adding lots and lots of on-device stuff. And it's pretty cool what they have there. They have face detection, barcode scanning, face mesh, text recognition, object tracking, digital ink, selfie segmentation, and all the other cool stuff. But one thing you'll notice that they're supporting in beta right now on phones is document scanning. Oh, okay. That sounds like that's promising. Where can we go with that? So you have ML Kit, but we need to go ahead and run that in React Native. And it would be great if it was a nice expo module so we could just tie everything in. We just yarn install, and then go about our day. Well, there you have it. So we have an open source repository, Infinite Red, React Native ML Kit. Thank you. So that you're not thinking in a whole bunch of difficult 4x4 matrices. Instead, you're thinking about the features so that you can have fun. So what would this look like if you're adding it to your project? First of all, we're going to start off a brand new project. And a lot of you have used Ignite before, correct? So when you're igniting a new project, you can get that set up. And when you ignite a project, it asks you, how would you like to do expo? And so we can do expo CNG and kind of make sure that we can actually get down to the native layer and add all these extra features. And I chose Yarn, a few other things here, just to get it started. And then we want to add React Native ML Kit document scanner. There is a React Native ML Kit core that all the main features are inside of, and then each particular feature of ML Kit, our goal is to make a different ML Kit package just for that. So now that you've got it, I want to make sure that this is the easiest readable code. I know the beer started getting served around 2 p.m., sorry, 1400, and I want to make sure that this is absolutely readable. So we have a function called launch document scanner async. We have the options that would go into it and the result options. What's going to go in to feed it? What's going to come out? 3 pieces are coming out of this. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to have the URI to the resulting image. We're going to just use useState, even though it's in Ignite and it has state management and all kinds of cool features already in there, keeping it simple, right? The beer is flowing. So we launch the document scanner, and we can pass the options of how many pages are they looking to scan, whether or not they can import from the gallery, the scanner mode features that are involved, whether it's full or not, and then finally, what kind of result are we looking to get out of this? And then we will add that to the URI when we're done. Then the most impressive, I think, JSX you've seen all day today, which is a button component. I don't know if you've heard of it, where you have an on-press which will run the scan document function, and then when the URI is loaded, it will show it. So I hate live demos. So I am going to try to live demo for you all today. And I promise you, if this happens, you have to help me out here, right? So we have a little bit of patience. We're going to get things set here. I have the device right here. We're going to screencast to my device. Start casting. And, oh, great, look at that desktop. That's wonderful. You wanted to see all that, right? Okay, good. Now, I'm going to open the scanner, okay? I'm going to grab my notebook from today, where I have lots of people writing wonderful notes for the conference, and this is what I hope to scan. I have stickers from the conference and such. I'm going to press that button. Oh my goodness, look at that audience. Oh, what a beautiful audience. Yes. Have you lost weight, all of you? Beautiful, I love it. So you see it's trying to find the rectangle here. We have the different images that are going there, and we bring it on top. It says scanning, hold steady. You should be able to see it, picking it up right there. And so then we have the image. So now, if you notice at the bottom, a list of options. We can crop, rotate, and do other things. I can run it through some filters. I can try to remove shadows. I can apply that. And then I think my thumb's over here, so I'm going to go to that magic marker tool and erase that out. And my thumb is gone, sort of. The lighting here, but you can see it's pretty much gone. Hit apply, and done. And that, y'all, was a live demo. Thank you. You have no idea how much anxiety goes through live demos. My first live demo in Poland, I forgot a closing brace. Oh, God. So now we've seen it in action. Let's see what happens here. I did have a video if that screwed up. But we did it, right? The amount of code that you saw right there was completely reliable, understandable, and it was using a library that's there. I feel like all that amazing stuff that we have just jammed straight into our app within a few lines of code, and it is backed by new features that continue to come out and be supported by MLKit. And then MLKit does have most of their models working perfectly on iOS and Android. Right now, the document scanner is only in beta on Android, but when it does support iOS, we will go ahead and do that too. So we have to ask now, we just delivered all those features in a few lines of code. Is the client happy? And because it's a fictitious client, asked AI to generate a happy client who just got their Star Wars app, and this is what they look like. And so what's the future of this ML scanning, right? What is the other things we can have? Well, you can see all the documentations because it's already been documented fully at docs.infinite.red, where you can see different things like Ignite and get the information there. You can see Reactitron, which helps you for debugging. And then you also see Glue Gun and, of course, React Native MLKit, which is wonderful as well. With React Native MLKit, we have moved over these 4 options, which is face detection, object detection, image labeling, and then, of course, the document scanner. We will continue to add more features in the near future. But one thing that needs to happen is you need to go ahead and tell us that you want it. You see something that MLKit does, and you want us to go ahead and support it. You can go to the Infinite Red React Native MLKit. And please, please, please star that repo along the way. And one of the things that I think is really exciting about this is because we have coded in Scratch. Infinite Red, we have done the entire math solution before, so I knew exactly how difficult it is and how beautiful it is to go through that journey and just see it done in a few lines of code. And admittedly, there's a lot of nerdy math and 3D stuff that kind of went through here, but we ended up in AI, which I think is super fun and amazing, too, for a lot of people, because AI is coming up in all the different talks. So I want to say, like, one of the things, where do we go from here? If you're actually interested, like I said, you can go star the repo. But if you have an app that you need done, and we are Infinite Red, the React Native mobile company, the original library was done by Trevor, who is actually one of our employees who got things started. But the entire demo and everything that you saw today, including all of the extra code and the import, was done by one of our amazing employees. Frank, will you please stand? Frank Calise, everybody. I called him at like 11 o'clock last night. I was like, I think the demo's broken. So I really appreciate that. But there's so many cool features that you can kind of get in place here. And the fact that we've got those moving in, if you feel like you want to contribute to open source, connect with us immediately. And like I said, this is all Expo friendly. And we have a huge Expo page on our website. I think it's infinite.red/expo. And if you go there, you can see a lot of our Expo experience, a lot of the other things that we like to build, our team, just a little bit. We also run the React Native newsletter that we've inherited from Brett Vatney. We run the React Native radio podcast, which we bought. And we also run the Chain React conference in Portland, which is a great excuse to go to the United States and talk more about React Native. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming along on this silly place and going through a sort of journey with a fictitious client. And if you want to talk more about nerd stuff, Expo, AI, math, or anything like that, you can message me directly on hitmeup.ai/Gant, and then look out for me on all things Infinite Red. And right after this talk, I'll be giving away the dragon. Thank you so much, everybody.